right next door to each other, and they fought cats and dogs, let me tell you. I started playing tennis a little later than they did, and I used to go up to Memorial at Port Huron High, and these two would just be fighting. It was unbelievable. I mean, fighting all the time. And they did. But they grew up together and played tennis all their lives, competed against each other, competed with each other, and so I want them to stay here as I go through this. So we're going to toast Glenn and all his accomplishments and his contributions to our tennis community. And it's well-deserved. This is something we've talked about for a few years and haven't done it. We thought we better hurry. This guy's getting old. I mean, look at him. He's bald. He's slow. But he's all arms. So I'm going to start with just some of his accomplishments. And I don't know them all. Glenn could tell you because he remembers every single point he's ever played. Yeah, that's true. He played #1 for Bowling Green University. He, in my book, was an All-American. He missed it by, what, 1 game? I think 1 game. Went to nationals. He won all the junior tournaments he probably played in. He won all our local tournaments. He won satellite. We used to go around and play the semi-pro satellite tour. I went to hold his bag, but he won a lot of those. So he's had every accomplishment. But just to give you an idea, Glenn won 16 straight open singles championships in the Robinson. He's second to only Barb Lynch, another loser, Glenn. Second only Barb in the most Robinson championships. He won 22 of 24 championships in the open singles. And it is holy cow. Mike Clary, another gentleman that played tennis here and taught and lost his life way too early, was the one that broke Glenn's streak. And then Dave Brown's brother Matt is the other person that beat Glenn in the open singles. So he has 52 and counting Robinson championships, and Jim Pine, a friend of mine, called today and told him about this little dedication to Glenn, and he said, you know, remind everybody this guy owes us about 2 gross of tennis balls. He'd show up, wouldn't bring a can of balls, goes through all the tournaments, wins, never had to bring one, and it was a little intimidating when you walk down the court and the guy doesn't have a can of tennis balls. He hadn't bought any for how many years, Glenn? Well, let me tell you about his real accomplishments. Albert Einstein, on How to Lead a Moral Life, told his daughters, use for yourself little, but give to others much. This is exactly what our friend Glenn has done for our tennis community. Let's face it, our area's recognition and richness in tennis is diminished without the talented players of our past. Players like Art Smith, who has played in every Robinson. Tim Lozon, who has given his time and talent. Coaches like Dean Suzanis, Dave Fredette, Jack Cliff, and so many others, Dave Brown, all the current ones. Players that have gone before us, Alex Darnfeld, Mike Clary, and of course, Barb Lynch, Steve Pallon, Jason Go, our Canadian friends who continue to support our area's tennis, and so many others that we just don't have time to mention here today. These players not only were super talented, but more importantly, they gave back. They never wavered in giving their support to our area tennis and its tournaments. Whenever possible, they made the effort to come back and play, teach, and lend support. So when other communities ask how the heck does little old Port Huron and that area keep producing such great talent, the answer is our history and the players, talented and not so talented, that keep giving back. But few, if any, love the game or give back as much as Glenn Johnson. He teaches teaches, coaches, mentors, promotes, and most importantly, from a spectator's point of view, he plays. And more than he competes, he competes like no other. There has never been a player in our area that competes like Glenn does. A lesson so hard to teach, a lesson that has to be experienced and shown. Let's face it, this is not the most talented player in the world. He is short, not very fast, always had a slow serve, never hit the ball all that hard. Yet he won. A good friend again, Jim Pinan, and I would sit on the sidelines watching Glenn take apart some poor guy, and we'd look at each other and we'd say, you know, he just isn't that good. Tell me, what is so good about this guy? How the heck does he keep winning? He won everything he played, juniors, college, pro satellites, as I said. I can only tell you what I witnessed. He is the best competitor I have ever seen in any sport ever. And number two, his absolute love of the game. So Jane was out of town. So back in late 2010, when Glenn woke screaming and his wife Jane was out of town and his son Greg, just getting in from, I think, an all-nighter, heard him and rushed into the hospital, it was discovered he had a category 4 aneurysm. I now know that this is not the kind you recover from, at least not whole. Barb Lynch, my wife Gail, and I, Jeff Blackman and others rushed to the hospital in Detroit and met Jane in the waiting room. She had just visited the doctor, and with tears running down her cheeks, she said, it didn't look good, and I don't know what to pray for. I don't want him to suffer, and I don't want him to live less than he is. The next few months were tough, to say the least, but in the end, and we all know how this ends, he shocked everyone, including his brain surgeon. He recovered 100%. Now, if you ask Glenn, he is upset that he can't move like he did, but give me a break. It's been 8 months, not years. I had the opportunity to visit with his doctor, and he told me that this is what doctors live for. Cases like this, when you win. This is a winner, he said. Not sure how he made it, but this guy just doesn't give up. He really doesn't. So the lesson Glenn teaches all of us is this. Don't ever give up. Work harder than the next person. Give back until you can't. And most importantly, compete. Don't just play, but compete. And with that, I'd have Glenn stand up and give him a big applause. And then Jim. Used the term Glenn wins, and for those of us that grew up with Glenn, I grew up just down the street from Barb and Glenn, so we've been friends for most of our lives. He used the word Glenn wins, and if you've read the newspaper in the last 25 to 30 years, the next day on Monday, it normally said Johnson wins, and that's the beginning of this plaque. It says Johnson wins. It said for nearly 5 decades of tennis excellence, Glenn Johnson faced the best of the best and came away victorious hundreds of times. Glenn played, Glenn won. However, this past year, he faced an opponent that few ever defeat. Yet, as we have come to expect, Glenn walked away with another win. With heartfelt appreciation and respect from your tennis family, we wish you many, many more years of life's victories. From the tournament and the family and the directors of the Francis J. Robinson Tennis Tournament, August 7th, 2011. Glenn. through the last 40 or 50 years through tennis that has made it more fun than anything. And I do appreciate your prayers that you had this past fall and winter. I really appreciate that. That's what got me through. Thank you again.